Bernard, you've called the 11th foundation, who am I? And I mean, I think that's a question that people grapple with throughout time. So talk to us about who am I?
Well, again, as we've been talking all through this period of time, we have to start with God. And so who am I really is who God sees me as and who God says I am. And I think part of the problem here is, it seems to me that most people who follow Jesus have gone into, or even some of those that don't, have gone into different and opposite errors. It's either we end up minimising sin in our attempts to, I think, be loving to people, or we end up making it seem like God hates people on the other hand, because we're wanting to make it clear about the detestable nature of sin. So how do we get the balance between these two? Well, it's not sort of balance. How, with the clarity, what does God say about these things? Certainly from the background that I come from, brought up understanding what they call the doctrine of original sin, that basically because of the fall, that we sin because we're sinners. Even our righteous acts are like filthy rags, that sort of thing. We don't become sinners because we sin. So there's something in us. And I'm going to use this again. It's one of those preacher formulas that I felt God showed me. I like to call original sin, it's our original infection. So let's not make light of sin. What that's saying is we have been infected with a dreadful disease that has already sentenced us to death and keeps on causing us to die. It's called sin. It's anything is the opposite of the goodness of God, really. And it affects every part of our being. We like to, it's a favourite topic these days to talk about our free will. I believe God has given us free will, but even that, remember, is infected by sin. So the Bible talks about we can't even choose the right because that's been infected. Now, while holding to that truth and understanding, therefore, the problem that, as it says in the New Testament, we were dead in transgressions and sins. So there's no point just trying to reason people into the kingdom. Actually, the Spirit of God has to give them life and change them and empower them. By grace we are saved through faith, and even this is a gift of God. It's an act of God because of our sin. When that's taken to an extreme, it's led to, I think, almost this, because people are sinners, we end up not liking them, which of course, when you look at Jesus, is nothing like what he was like. And even though we're infected in all parts by this dreadful disease of sin, just as Jesus reached out and he loved the lepers and he was prepared to touch them and he was a friend of sinners, what was it that enabled him to do that? How come he could look past, if you like, their original infection and pour out his love upon them, and not only give good news by what he said, but be good news to them in who he was? Well, for me it became clear when I understood that what he saw was, even though man fell, there were still certain things that had come from God. So we talk about original infection, but what about original image? In every human being you meet, you're going to see something of the stamp of God. No matter how much Satan has tried to warp that, there is something of the image of God in them. And how do we call out that image of God? What about original identity? That God has stamped people with a uniqueness that is really there. That is who he's called them to be. Their identity. How do we get them to connect with who he's called them to be? And that he wants them to be, he's designed them to be. And original intent, his purpose for them. That God had something in mind when he created each human being. And one of the exciting things about this for me is no matter where I go in the world, no matter who I'm sitting with, I'm not sitting there thinking, you know, are they saved or unsaved? Are they dirty or clean? Are all the sort of stuff we do. Do I have to? I'm thinking, how do I, first of all, as we said in the previous one, how do I hear and can I hear the shepherd's voice for them? And then how does that shepherd's voice want to speak to that original image, identity and intent? And to call out his fruit, and to call out them to follow him. And that then just changes the way you view people. I find every person I see is exciting. Sometimes badly behaved and exciting, but nevertheless exciting, and it enables you free then to love them with the love I think God wants us to love them with, while still hating the sin. I think this is a great foundation of knowing who we are as human beings and being able to speak into it.